What it do, Dream Team? It's your boy D Neal back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with 10 amazing facts about Australia. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, give the video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. What you got? Top 10 Archive.
Welcome to Top 10 Archive. As we return to our trip around the globe, we're stopping in a rather revered country, one that many wish to see. As we digitally travel to the land down under, we're going to meet 300 jolly surfers. We'll see what Mama's got cooking for all your Wally siblings. We'll yabber about some boomers, and we promise there isn't a Buckley's chance you'll be disappointed. This video, as Australians would call it, is the Dinky D. Number 10, Australia's innovations. Many people likely don't associate Australia with innovations, or really anything outside of kangaroos, but the country has been home to some great innovators. Some of the earliest inventors were Australia's Aboriginal population, who invented the boomerang some 10,000 years ago.
Really?
In the 20th century alone, Australian inventors were churning out products that we still use on a regular basis today, such as notepads configured by stationer J.A. Burchell, Dr. David Warren's black box flight recorder, and the power strip, originally developed by Peter Talbot. Other notable firsts include the first feature-length film, The Story of the Kelly Gang, the first refrigerator, and more locally used items like the didgeridoo, a wooden musical instrument. For the girls watching this, you know those Ugg boots you love so much? Yep, that's right. Thank Australia the next time you slip them on. Number 9.
I know they invented the boomerang. They invented the power strip. That was y'all, the first move feature film. Australia, that was y'all, the first fridge. Yeah, that was all y'all. I know y'all came up with Wi-Fi too, right? I believe. Y'all are some innovators over there. I like it.
Famous Australians. Sure, we all know Heath Ledger, Jeffrey Rush, Kate Blanchett, Paul Hogan, Nicole Kidman, Hugh Jackman, and Mel Gibson as certified Australians. But there's more that hails from down under than
you can't forget Margot Robbie. You cannot forget Margot Robbie.
Great Hollywood talent. 2000 Sydney Olympic winner.
Oh my Lord.
Who took gold in the 400-meter run, did her country proud, as did 1973 Nobel Prize winner Patrick White. Radios blast out tunes from the country's musical stars, Keith Urban, Kylie Minogue, and Olivia Newton-John, as our eyes are
I didn't know Keith Urban was Australian. I legit did not know Keith Urban was Australian. That's a new one.
Works of art by artists such as Brett Whiteley, Pro Hart, and Norman Lindsay. Let's also not forget the stunning personality of Steve Irwin, who personified Australia for much of the world. Number 8.
Let's take it. Let's just say R.I.P. to one of the greatest human beings to ever walk planet Earth. Steve Irwin had kids, had adults, had people from all over the world tuning in to the Crocodile Hunter and absolutely loving it. Shout out Steve Irwin, absolute legend.
8. Australian cuisine. Don't let Outback Steakhouse fool you. Australian cuisine is far more interesting than a blossoming tray of onions and steaks. In fact, for a restaurant that prides itself on its down-under style, it's missing a well-known Australian staple, Vegemite. Beyond taste, indigenous and more traditional Australians are known to dine on the Wichiti grub, a wood-eating...
I'm not about to let you get away with Vegemite. It's a reason the Outback Steakhouse left Vegemite off the menu. There's a reason they left it, because they want people to come back. They want to enjoy Vegemite. You must be an Australian. You must grow up eating Vegemite. If you do not grow up eating Vegemite, you don't have Australian blood in your veins, you're going to absolutely hate this stuff. Absolutely hate this stuff. But keep it going.
More traditional Australians are known to dine on the Wichiti grub, a wood-eating Should an almond-tasting insect not whet your appetite, maybe something sweeter like lamington or smokier like barbecued snags will hit the spot. Those crazy Aussies are also known for their love for meat pies, macadamia nuts, fantales, Tim Tams, Wheat Bix, and Anzac biscuits. Number 7. Tourist attractions in Australia. As you
Sydney
should
Opera
and
House.
can expect with any country you've yet to travel to, Australia is home to quite an array of attractions and sights worth making the trip for. One of its more notable buildings is the Sydney Opera House, a venue for concerts, local theater, and so much more. History buffs may enjoy visiting the Shrine of Remembrance, which was built to commemorate and honor the 19,000 Victorians that perished during the First World War. Thalassophobics are going to want to stay away from the Great Barrier Reef, but anyone with a keen interest in nature should get a kick out of this system of 2,900 reefs and 900 islands. Additional attractions include Port Jackson, Blue Mountain, Tasmania, and the Great Ocean Road. Number 6, Australia's wildlife. We may have seen some of Australia's indigenous wildlife tucked safely within some cave, but there's nothing like seeing them in their natural habitat. Critters like the Tasmanian devil, a tiny creature Mel Blanc turned into a whirlwind of a beast, or the equally cute...
Love the Tasmanian devil and Bugs Bunny. Love the Looney Tunes.
Wombat. We'd be doing a disservice to not name the exotic animals like the kangaroo, koala, or baby-eating dingo. But we also don't want to leave out the tiny kookaburra or the long-nosed fur seal found on the southern coast of Australia. There is, of course, the myriad of deadly creatures like the cone snail, cassowary, stonefish, just to name a few. Oh, and how did we forget the platypus, the beaver's ugly cousin? The beaver, the platypus's ugly cousin. Well,
They're both
actually,
ugly.
according to experts, they aren't related at all, as the platypus is only related to one other animal in the rare monotreme family. the echidna.
Really?
So, yeah, that joke
Oh, I thought that was a porcupine.
was expected. Blame the riders. Number 5, Australian Gold Rush. The United States of America isn't the only country to have experienced a gold rush. During the 19th century, specifically 1851, Edward Hargreaves stumbled across a small speck of gold near Bathurst. Post-discovery, Hargreaves dubbed the gold site Ophir, was named commissioner of the land, received a life pension, and inadvertently started a gold rush in Australia. By
So dope.
1852, 370,000 immigrants landed in Australia in hopes of cashing in on the boom in mining. As it usually is when money is involved, tensions rose between the miners and authorities over goldfield licensing, leading 1,000 men proclaiming an oath at the Eureka Stockade to defend their rights and liberties. After intervention from Melbourne troops, 22 of the 1,000 were killed and Eureka was reclaimed.
Oh, wow.
Number 4, Australian Ballot. In 1856, the states of Victoria and South Australia introduced a new system of voting that many countries still utilize today. Dubbed the Australian Ballot and later the Secret Ballot, this voting method made it possible for voters to be able to cast a ballot in privacy. As the protection of the voters became a growing concern across the globe, the United States and parts of Europe adopted the Aussie means of voting. Traditionally, the means of privacy is a ballot box or booth of a specific dimension. The voters are given uniform...
I legit thought it was I thought it was like that from when the day people started voting, that privacy would be a thing that would be given, right? I would have hoped so. But shout out to Australia for coming up with this, and then everybody else adopted it. I guess they understood, like, people need to feel safe when they vote and not have their vote swayed by anything.
Cards and a uniform means of marking said card. More modern voting methods have turned to electronic methods, which tend to be under constant scrutiny in the United States. Number 3, Australian
I swear to God.
colonies. Despite being seemingly in its own world, the country of Australia and the people that devote themselves to it have experienced loss during some of the world's most trying times. To commemorate those that gave their lives during the First World War, which is the first major military action fought by both Australian and New Zealand forces, Aussies celebrate Anzac Day. Anzac Day specifically points towards the landing of Gallipoli on April 25, 1915. During the battle on the peninsula, Australia saw a loss of 8,000 soldiers against the Turkish defenders, who wound up pushing Allied forces into a defeat. For both Australia and New Zealand, the battle molded a legendary image for the members of the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. Number 2, World Records. When it comes to world records, Australia isn't exempt from these feats, even when it comes to comedic value. In December of 2015, some 320 Australians took to the waves, breaking the record for most surfing Santas at one location. In 2015, David Richards broke a record for most bulbs on a Christmas tree by stringing 518,838 LED lights on a 22-meter or 72-foot tree in Canberra to raise money for families affected by sudden infant death syndrome. On March 28, 2008, daredevil Robbie Madison broke the record for the longest motorcycle ramp jump at 106.98 meters, or roughly 351 feet, at the Krusty Demons Night of World Records at Calder Park Raceway in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia.
That's insane, bro. To make that jump, bro, it had to have been Australia. Nobody outside of Australia is going to break that record because Australians have something that the world doesn't have, and that is fearlessness. They have no fear. So he didn't have any fear going into that jump, I'm sure. It was probably just pure excitement. But yeah, I would be deathly afraid to try to make that jump.
Number 1, the island of misfit boys. When you don't want someone in your presence, you find a way to banish them. In 1788, England did exactly that by deporting approximately 763 convicts to Australia, which was to act as a prison colony. Over 50,000 criminals in 60 years were brought to the land down under. But it was about more than rehabilitation. In fact, it was widely believed by England's upper class that criminals were defective, could not be rehabilitated, and simply needed to be separated from those that lacked such defects. In this colony, prisoners were not kept behind bars, but conditions were grim. Sadistic volunteers from Great Britain oversaw prisoners, kept strict rules, and harsh punishments. Do you have an idea for a future Top 10 video? Let us know in the comments section below. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and our website, top10archive.net. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with all of your family and friends.
Yeah, that video was dope. I definitely enjoyed that. That's all we got. If you guys have a favorite video suggestion, you can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. It's your boy D Neal. Out.